Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to give you some hints on the guessing game problem. So before we do that, let's quickly explain the problem. So in the guessing game problem, we have to make a hidden word class. So the whole problem is just one part, just making a class. So what we do is, basically this is just a guessing game. Give me just a minute. This is just a guessing game in which you have to guess the hidden word. So let's say that we have a hidden word named puzzle, and the key word, the answer to it, is the word harps. So let's say I want to guess something. Let's say I'm guessing, okay, I think the answer is A. Well, if the letter is in the word but not in the correct position, it will just put a plus on. If the letter is in the correct position and it's the correct letter, then it just unveils that letter. And then see how these three letters are, the A is in harps, but it's not in the correct position, so it just replaces these with pluses. So here's another one. Let's say I guess hello. So it looks like H is in harps and in the same position, so I'll unveil the H, but ELLO, none of those letters are inside harps, so I'm going to replace those with just the asterisk or star key. Here's another one, heart. So H is in the right place, so we unveil that. E is not in harps at all, so that's a star. A is in harps, but that's not in the correct position, so we put a plus. R is in harps, but it's not in the correct position, so again we put a plus. And then T, well, the letter T is not in harps, so I put a star. And you can read the other examples to see how this works. So let's talk about the hints. What do we need to do? Well, we need to write a class. Usually a class will require some data fields, constructors, and methods. So that's our first thing, is you need to remember how to write a class with a constructor, methods, and data fields. How do I figure out how to write my constructor and methods? Well, if you look back here, here's my constructor call. So it looks like my constructor needs some type of string, which will be the word that I'm guessing. How do I know which methods I need? Well, it looks like this only has one method named getHint. So it looks like it's going to return some type of string. And so basically that's all I did, was I wrote my class, I had one constructor and one method, and that's pretty much it for this whole problem. Now, what else do we need to know? Well, the constructor is probably the easier part. The harder part, I think, is writing the getHint method. So we have to go through each of these scenarios. So basically what we have to do is, the guess that's the parameter in getHint, we have to go through that entire string and pluck out one character at a time and see if it fits one of these scenarios. What type of structure might we need to do that? Well, you'll definitely need some type of loop to go through every character in the string. You have to make sure that you know how to grab that character from the string and compare it with another character. So you have to see, for example, if this first character is equal to the first character in the other string. So you kind of get a hint on what your data field might be. Your data field is probably going to have something to do with this word. So basically you have to compare the first character in that string with the first character in your guess. And if they're the same, then we'll reveal it and if they're not the same, then you have to make sure that that character is inside this the keyword, the password. And if it's not, then you have to replace it with a star. So those are the other things you need to know how to do. So grab a character from a string and compare it, and also determine if the character is in a given string. So that's pretty much all you need in terms of hints and pseudocode. There's not a ton of strategy as there was with some of the more challenging AP problems. What I think the bigger challenge here is remembering how to code some of this stuff. So if you think you know how to code it at this point, I would pause the video, write down these hints. But if you don't think you know how to code this stuff, I would continue on with the video, which is continuing in 3, 2, 1. Here are some of the coding reminders that I want to tell you about. So, first of all, click on this link to reveal how to write a class. So if you click on the link, you'll see something that looks like this, where there is a triangle class that is clearly incorrect, along with the solution on how to write it, which is on the bottom of the page. So if you forgot how to write a class, I would definitely look at that link first. The next thing you should look at is the string class, because there's a lot of methods that could be very helpful to you. You could use the char_at method. So if you say the name of the string .char_at and put a number inside, it will return a character at that position. You could also use the substring method, which takes in a beginning index and an ending index. It returns a new string that is a substring of this string. Something I'll add here is that the substring will go from position 0 to whatever the end index is -1. And I'll write the word inclusive because it does include both of these. It doesn't include end index, but it includes the end index -1, which is the position right before it. So you could use substring this way. You could also use substring by just stating the beginning index. So what this will do is it will go from, let me add this in, this substring will go from the position starting at the parameter begin index all the way till the position length -1, which is essentially the very end of the string. So you could use a substring this way if you would like. Let's look at some other methods. This one definitely came in handy for me, index of. What this will do is return the index within the string of the first occurrence of the specified character, returning -1 if the character is not found. So I'm going to do an example of this. String s equals bye, and if I did s.index of y, or you could do this as a character or as a string. It doesn't really matter. So it says int char, but int ch, but int could be a character really. So in either case, this will return 1 because that's the position. If I go like 0, 1, 2, it's a position 1. So it's going to return the first one, the one on the very left. If I did index of e, it's going to return 2 because it's 0, 1, 2. However, if I return something different, like if I said, hang on, s.index of w, now w is not in bye, so I would return -1 in that case. So this one definitely came in handy for me. Also, don't forget to use string.length. And some other thing to keep in mind, comparing things. So if you're comparing primitive values like characters, integers, doubles, or booleans, always use equals equals or not equals, like exclamation mark equals. So here's some examples. If they're ints, doubles, characters, or booleans, anything primitive like a lowercase data type, use equals equals or exclamation mark equals for not equals. However, if you are comparing strings or objects, this is when you have to use dot equals or exclamation mark something dot equals. So if I have two strings x and y, I would say x dot equals y. If I want to say that they're not equal, I would say if a exclamation mark a dot equals b, or I could put a string in here also if I want to do not equals. That's pretty much it for the hints for this problem. Go and watch the other video for the actual solution to the problem. Thank you.